Welcome back to Obsession Engineering, and the CB500 Honda is back on the bench because today we're going to give it a little bit more TLC. Last time you saw the bike, I was getting it running, and as a miracle, for the first time in 10 years, it did actually run. It didn't run terribly well though, so there is definitely some maintenance needs doing, and today we're going to dive in and crack on with it. See if we can make it even better. So I'm rebranding the CB as the Cancer Beater because on the longest day of the year, 2025, me and this 28-year-old Honda, along with a group of other ridiculous, slightly mentally unstable lunatics, we are going to ride our sub 600 pound bikes from Land's End to John O'Groats in a day without using motorways. I have done this challenge before, and trust me, this is a challenge. It's hard work on me, it's hard work on the bike, and we're doing it because we know cancer sucks. So 1 in 2 people nowadays in the UK at some point in their lifetime will be affected by cancer. And this disease is just horrific. It can rip families apart, it can destroy lives, it kills. But it doesn't just kill the people who actually die from it. It can rip apart the families, it can break people mentally. It's just horrendous. And so I'm going to do what I can to try and beat cancer. And we're going to team up with Cancer Research UK and we're going to raise as much money as we can, and that's where you come in. I thank you for watching the video. I'd be even more thankful if you click the link in one of the corners and donate to this cause. I am trying to raise £25,000 this year. It's a big number, but that's because it's a big cause. There are now 25,000 subscribers on the channel, and so all I need is for everybody to go on the link, donate £1, £1. If you can donate more, that would be awesome, but even if you can only afford just £1, please go on there, donate, and your donation is going towards fighting cancer, so people can have better, longer lives with the ones they love. Now we're going to get involved and rip this thing apart, see if we can make it even better and even more likely to actually get me to John O'Groats. So last time I had the bike running, I put some fresh fuel in it and a fresh battery, and I actually got it to start. It was a little bit lumpy, shall we say, and so I've decided it's time to take the carbs off it and get them in the ultrasonic tank. And so what I really need to do now is lift the seat up, get the fuel tank off, which might involve taking some of the awful fairing off it, disconnect the fuel lines, pull the airbox out of the way, get the carbs out and get them stripped. Getting the tank off was relatively straightforward, but the only bit that was slightly awkward was, of course, the fact that the street style fairing is actually attached down here with a bracket that bolts to the tank, and of course can't get to this side. The other side is not so bad because I've already got the lower panel off. But anyway, right, tank's off. A couple of pipes and bits out of the way, throttle cables loosened. And then I realised that the airbox there's some little like lugs that go around the frame at the bottom. So you can just like pop it backwards, but it doesn't go very far. And when I did pop it backwards, some of the airbox like trunking came off on that carb. So that needs reattaching later. But it is quite snug because I sort of need to lever the airbox back while I pop the carbs off. They're nearly out, but this is surprisingly snug. I expected this to be a 5-minute job and it's turning into a 10 or 15-minute job, so not terrible, just not quite as straightforward as I hoped. And the 5-minute job that was a 10 or 15-minute job is turning into a much longer job now because I then realised there is a coolant feed or an antifreeze feed to the carbs so they don't ice up in winter, which means I really need to drop the coolant out before I take the carbs off. And to get that access to the water pump a bit, I thought was much easier without the street style fairing on it. So taking the side panel off, now I'm going to drop the antifreeze from the water pump down here into my bucket, and then I can take the pipes off that run to the carbs without getting coolant absolutely everywhere. Finally, my carbs are off and they're on the bench, so let's go and see them. So here they are in all their glory. It turns out those bits are much easier to take off. They like sit in the airbox. It's easier to take them off with the carbs. Not sure if you're supposed to, but that's how it all came apart in the end. Right, what I need to do next is take the float bowls off, measure the sort of pilot screws and bits like that, see where they are positioned now, so I can put them back to original later, take the chokes out, stuff like that. Basically split them down, diaphragms out, floats out, all that sort of stuff, record a couple of settings, and then these can go in my ultrasonic tank for basically a fancy bubble bath. There has been a disaster, and it's that. This is like the fuel delivery pipe. The fuel comes in this way and then splits off into the two carbs, and it disappears off into where the float valves sit. Unfortunately, this bit, as you can see, is not exactly still as Honda intended it, because it's plastic and it's had petrol around it for 28 years, and as soon as I gripped the pipe to try and pull it off, it just fell apart. Also, I have noticed, you know, a reason potentially why this one didn't run perfectly at low RPM, and hopefully you can see it. You can see like a little bit of sort of corrosion, a little bit of furring up on this brass section here, and it's not bad, but obviously if that's on the outside, if it's on the inside as well, it's going to be restricting fuel flow and airflow and bits. So that could be part of the reason we're not running perfectly. In the other carb, there is quite a lot of dirt and silt sort of built up in the bottom of there as well. So although the fuel flushed through them and it looked quite clean, in the absolute depths of the carbs, it's by no means perfect. So that's why they need to go in the ultrasonic tank, which puts like a warmed up detergent through them and fizzes at the same time. And that will be really, really good for breaking down all these little deposits, cleaning all the little bits you cannot get to. And then when I have some parts and can put them back together, they should run considerably better. I've had a look online. They're £46 or something for that plastic junction. And this is supposed to be a strict budget, so I don't really want to be spending £46 on a plastic piece of pipe. So I'm going to attempt to make my own version of it. And I say attempt because there is no guarantees here that this is going to work. Right, what I'm planning to do is have that as the sort of main branch across the T. I can machine the ends down in the lathe and put little grooves in for the O-ring. I'm then planning to drill a hole into the top of it and tap an M10 by 1mm thread into it, followed by a hole all the way through to let the fuel flow. And then, using this piece of pipe, I'm going to run a die nut down it with an M10 by 1mm thread on it, so that I can screw that into there. And hopefully, with some sealant, that will actually not leak. I suppose what I could do is actually get a slightly bigger piece of pipe so it has a shoulder on it, and then I can run a copper washer. Right, that piece of pipe's out of the way. I'm going to find a bigger piece. I've created a reasonable amount of swarf, but I have also created a fuel union. I was planning down in this gap here to run a copper washer, but then I didn't machine the flats in it quite big enough, so I'm trying it with some sealant first on the threads. And if that works, then happy days. If not, I'll actually just machine some bigger flats on it. But that means setting it up in the machine again and hoping I actually get it flat. And so that I will let the sealant dry overnight. And then I can try that tomorrow, because the carbs have finished bubbling away in their fancy bubble bath. I'll give them a little blast off, bit of a spray with some sort of penetrating fluid to stop them going furry overnight. And tomorrow we can reassemble. So I've come back in the workshop, and I was proudly showing Rob my new fuel connector for the cancer beater, and he's just started taking the mickey out of me. I mean, it's pretty, isn't it, Rob?
Well, yeah, it is. It's a thing of beauty, but as you've pointed out, the replacement original part is what, £47?
Yeah, £47.
Yeah, £47. So instead of buying that, you've spent an hour and a half of your valuable time creating this piece
that might leak,
and has cost you materials as well. So it's probably cost you a lot more than £47, including your time.
I don't think Rob's quite on board with the spirit of the event, that we're not spending actual cash money on the bike. I mean, he does make a good point. If I'd have just actually done some work, I could have paid for it myself out of my pocket. But I think he's missing the point. So I'm really pleased with it until it leaks. So on that note, I'm actually going to start putting my cars back together in a few minutes. As I've learned from a previous project, rig your carbs up to a fuel supply before you put them on the bike and actually check they don't leak. And they don't leak. So now I can turn that fuel supply off, put the choke mechanism on and a couple of other little bits, and get that back in the bike. So I've got the carbs reassembled, back in the bike, and actually getting them back in and getting the airbox back, like hooked over the front of them. Surprisingly awkward, but that is now done. I have a sensible amount of very little free play on the throttle, which is what I like. Choke cable works correctly, all that sort of stuff, and all the pipes and gubbins are reconnected. So the next thing while I'm here is to change the plugs. I've already loosened this one, and I mean it ran lovely, but it's a couple of quid literally for some plugs. So bang some fresh plugs in it, and then I will oil and filter change it as well. We are putting some semi-synthetic 1040 Motul in it, so we don't need to go crazy with the cost of fully synthetic, but we are putting a high quality oil in because the bike actually needs to do mileage, and so that is going to be absolutely awesome. I'm going to prime up my oil filter first, and then when my sump plug goes back in, I can pop the oil filter back on. Then when we actually start the bike, you just get oil pressure that tiny bit quicker. Fresh filter on, fresh charge of Motul in it, put some fresh antifreeze in it, some coolant in it, new plugs are in it, carbs are back together, and we have the dummy fuel tank rigged up to a carb balancer. Now this should be relatively simple because there's only 2 carbs to balance, or in fact just one to balance to the other one, and that is on the assumption everything works now I've had the carbs apart. So turn that on. I have spun it over on the start mode to get some oil around it already, so hopefully this will go. Right, we'll let that warm up a bit, and then we'll have a little bit of a fiddle with it. So what I'm looking for is the vacuum in these 2 tubes to be the same, because that means the throttle on both carbs is allowing the same amount of air into each cylinder. And let's face it, that's not bad at all, and it does actually sound pretty sweet. Certainly sounds better than when I took it apart, and so a little tweak should do it. So if I delve down here, there is a little screw, and if I give that a tweak, I'm saying that's about bob on. We will have to tweak the tick over a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with that, and it sounds lovely and sweet. Yep, I might just tweak that back the other way a tiny bit, knock the tick over down, job done. And now I'm happy the carbs are balanced, the tick over set, all of the fluids have been changed. She runs like an absolute peach. So engine is done. Next thing to do is move on to the chassis. So onto the chassis. And by calling it the chassis, it makes it sound like we're going to do some wonderful things with like frame bracing and forks and offsets and things like that. We're not. I'm going to clean the brakes, put some new pads in it, and some braided brake hoses, because 20-year-old rubber brake hoses, I'm not that convinced about. They might be fine, but the one time you really need them, you don't want them just deciding to give up. And so brake lines, brake pads, brake fluid, and a bit of a clean. That is the next job. Caliper off, pads out, and although they've got a reasonable amount of meat in them, I'm not going to put them back in because, well, they're old brake pads, so why would you? Right. 50-50 Motul Moto Wash and water is excellent for cleaning brake caliper, so give it a good spraying over, then I'll get my toothbrush in, give it a good scrub up, spin the pistons around with my piston pliers, get them in, give them a twist, clean it around the other side, make sure all this slides, put everything back together with new pads. Caliper is back together, pistons move really nice and easily, the slidey bit slides nice and easily, and so it's time to put some pads in it. I like a sintered pad. I like that sort of relatively aggressive bite you get from them. And the wonderful people, including, of course, Terry at Hoco Parts, have sorted me out a very good deal on some SBS. So it's having, these are going in that caliper. Caliper can go back on the bike. And then we'll change the brake line before we put any fluids back into this lot. Caliper refitted and now paired up to a braided brake hose. Normally, I would use Hell hoses because, if I'm honest, I think they're the best. This isn't one, this is just a generic one that was on the shelf. It will do for now, it is considerably better than the rubber one we had before, and so the next thing I need to do is get some Motul brake fluid in it. Today I'm going to be using some Motul .4 brake fluid. This is sort of a relatively generic .4, but because it's Motul, it's of course excellent quality and will be more than good enough for the CB cancer beater. Piece of pipe, old bottle, new brake fluid in there, and all I'm going to do is squeeze the brake lever to put pressure in the system, and while I have the brake lever compressed, pressurising the system, I'm going to open the bleed nipple, let the air out, a little bit of fluid, whatever comes out, close the bleed nipple again, and then release the lever, because the vacuum causing the system by releasing the lever will have to pull the fluid through from the reservoir, so it will go reservoir, mass cylinder, pressure, caliper, out into there. And when there is no more air left in the system and there is only brake fluid, we will have a nice stiff lever. So that's it. I'm going to do some pumping and some squeezing, and hopefully before long I will be satisfied with the stiff one in my hand. I've been pumping for quite a while, but I just couldn't get a stiff one in my hand, and that is very disappointing. And then I realised my master cylinder's leaking. So it turns out, having had the bike just sitting for ages, it has done something in, and unfortunately it's the seals in the master cylinder, which is quite annoying. Even more annoying is there doesn't appear to be anybody doing aftermarket seals for those master cylinders. They are only genuine ones at nearly 50 quid. I mean, I can go on the internet and buy a complete master cylinder for £12.95. But I'm suspicious of a £12.95 master cylinder, if I'm honest. So I might have to bite the bullet and spend some money on something genuine Honda. Because that way, at least I know it'll actually be the right quality, and having your brakes work is quite important. So yeah, I think we'll put that on the list of pleasantries we can treat the bike to. Luckily, brakes are over the budget, as in extra. You can have brakes and tyres extra because they're safety items. So yeah, slightly disappointing. So what I'm going to do to cheer myself up is go to the back of the bike and see if I can ruin those ones as well. So good news is I've fitted a braided brake line to the rear, and I've bled it up, and I've got rid of basically the treacle that was in the brake line, and we've got some nice fresh Motul in there, and the back brake feels really good. I haven't actually taken the caliper off to clean it and put new pads in it, because that's easier with the back wheel out, and the back wheel has to come out to put some tyres in anyway, so I'm saving that job. Of course, the irony of this is the rear mass cylinder repair kit is easily available at a very reasonable price. The front one is not easily available because you have to buy one from Honda, and it's a fortune. But that's the way the cookie crumbles some days. So I'm going to put it out there. Having to replace a 50 quid master cylinder seal kit, it's not really a massive disaster. It's a little bit frustrating, but really there are bigger problems. If, for example, you were fighting cancer, you would not be worried about a seal kit in a master cylinder. It really doesn't matter in the bigger scheme of things. And so please, the reason we're doing this is so that we can go out there, raise some money for Cancer Research UK so they can fight cancer, so that more people can worry about the little things in life, not the really big things like fighting cancer. So if you're enjoying watching me get slightly frustrated with a motorbike, and you don't want to get incredibly frustrated by having to fight cancer, give me some money. There's a donation thing in the corner. Give us some money. It fights cancer. It's important. It saves lives. It changes lives. Get on there. Give us money. And on that note, I'm going home for the day. That can wait till tomorrow. See you soon.